Owning the newest rifles gets expensive fast, but what if we told you that there was an entire group of firearms that are fun to shoot, interesting to look at, and best of all, generally much more affordable than the latest AR-15? It turns out that you can add to your gun collection fairly cheaply by looking somewhere most people never bother: military surplus rifles. And today we bring you just some of these special goodies. Number 7. SKS Rifles, $645. The venerable SKS served in the military forces of dozens of countries across the Eastern Bloc and Asia. As such, you have tons of SKS rifles slipping into the US from various countries. Perfect for shooters to grab up and go. There are so many SKS rifles in the States that Bubba has gotten his hands on them, and a tactical SKS market has popped up. The SKS provides a semi-auto rifle that's actually quite handy. It's more than just a surplus rifle and can be used as a working gun, a hunting rifle, and even a defensive weapon. The fixed 10-round mag make them AWB band-proof, which is rather nice. SKS rifles utilize a short-stroke gas piston system that has proven quite reliable. Like the AK, it eats when it's filthy dirty, when it's hot or cold, and when it's not even hungry. It fires the 7.63 by 39mm round, an abundant caliber in the US and rather cheap. Cheap and available ammo makes the SKS one of the best choices if you are less of a collector and more of a shooter. It's no sniper rifle, but it puts lead where you need it. The open iron sights aren't great, but please don't butcher it with an optic mount. SKS rifles come from Russia originally, but those tend to be tougher to find. Yugoslavian and Chinese SKS rifles seem to be a fair bit more common than the Russian models, and Yugos are often the most affordable option. Finish off the rifle with an old-school Chinese chest rig and a pile of stripper clips to get the complete experience. Number 6. M1 Garand, $2,000. The world's finest battle implement, the M1 Garand is also one of the best semi-auto rifles on the mil-surp market. It's also one of the more expensive models and can be somewhat tough to find. The civilian marksmanship program sells US surplus M1 Garand models, but that requires a membership. Sadly, lots of folks are members who buy these M1s and resell them at astronomical prices, so it's worth the admission into the CMP and a better option than buying from a flipper. The semi-auto action and rapidly reloading design made the American soldier a force to be reckoned with in a field of bolt-action rifles as we entered World War II. It fires the 30 service cartridge, aka the 3006. This ammo is common and available, but not exactly cheap. These gas-operated rifles are wonderful and truly a mechanical sight to behold, not to mention surprisingly accurate for the time. They would still make a very effective hunting rifle. If you are a member of the CMP, then you owe it to yourself to take an M1 out to a high-power competition and have some fun. The M1 utilized an N-block clip and internal mag. Those N-block clips are still widely available today and easy to find. A cartridge belt replica and a belt full of clips will make you well equipped for any situation. Don't forget the bayonet either. Number 5. Chinese Type 53, $400. Mosin Nagants have always been the go-to surplus rifle for those in the world of mil-surp. In the last few years, the price of the Mosin rose drastically. They're still affordable, but the days of $89 Mosins are gone. However, if you want the Mosin rifle and aren't too picky about its general condition, then the Chinese Type 53 might be for you. China likes to copy Soviet-era rifles, and the Type 53 was their take on the Mosin M44 carbine. Type 53 carbines use the same 7.62 by 54R rounds, action, and overall design of the Mosin Nagant. Its barrel is trimmed to a short fireball creating 20.25 inches, and the bayonet is the old-school side folding spike style. The Type 53 seems to be a much more affordable option than an actual M44. While some may decry that the Type 53 is of lesser quality than the M44, they are wrong. These are well-made rifles. They just weren't well stored. Some beat-up models go for very little and tend to be solid shooters. Check the bore for pitting and rust. But other than that, you can likely get a T53 in shooter's grade for a couple $100. Number 4. Hugo M48 Mauser, $500. The Yugoslavian M48, or the Zastava M48, as it's also known, provides a cheap, generally high-quality Mauser action to a cheap rifle. Like any Mauser action, you can expect a very robust design, a reliable action, and a relatively refined action for a mass-produced battle rifle. It's no pre-64 Winchester, but it's impressive. Predictably, the Hugo Mauser is just a copy of the Kar 98K. That's completely fine with me because the Kar 98K was a damn fine rifle. Even though it's a clone of the Kar 98K, most parts are compatible between the two guns. The rifle came to be after World War II and provided a rather poor, war-torn country with a rifle with easily available ammunition. Getting your hands on German 8mm Mauser wasn't a big deal for these Eastern Bloc countries. Yugoslavia forces carried the gun until 1964, when it was replaced by the Yugo copy of the SKS. The M48 fires the powerful German 8mm Mauser cartridge. This hard-hitting round carries a fair bit of energy, and don't approach it without readying yourself for its recoil. It's not going to beat you up, but it's no poodle shooter. Speaking of, the ammo is reproduced, but not very cheaply. It's expensive, but could be a very effective hunting rifle. Number 3. Ohio National Guard Wingmaster 870S, $1,200. These are rare U.S. surplus shotguns released from the National Guard to the Ohio Department of Corrections and then to us. These 870s are Wingmasters from the 1970s and are limited to 1,200 pieces. They are unique in the fact that they carry the famed and very rare bayonet lug that also acts as a sling keeper and barrel-to-magazine extension attachment. The Wingmasters only chamber 2.75-inch shells, but they are beautiful. Their wood stocks, wood pumps, and beautiful blued finish make it a shotgun that stands out. However, an even limited number of models featured the Remington 870 steel folding stock. It's also interesting because shotguns rarely come up in the vein of military surplus guns. As we all know, 12 gauge is remarkably common, and you can find any load you want in the 2.75-inch variety. These shotguns sold out almost instantly, and as such, you can only find them on the aftermarket. Sadly, the price skyrocketed and is going for well over $1,000 on the secondary market. Number 2. Italian M91 Carcano Cavalry Rifles, $250. Carcanos have come and gone from the surplus market over the years, and various models pop up whenever some guy in Naples opens the wrong crate. One of the recent hotness is the M91 Cavalry variant, 91 as in 1891, and cavalry as in the dudes actually on horses. These are not new rifles by any means. They've been kicking around for decades. Serving in both world wars, these bolt-action rifles were used in limited numbers all the way up to 1981. As per the usual cavalry designation, they measure shorter than the standard configuration. Well, to be honest, the Italians never used the cavalry designation, but the rifles were intended for horsebound troops, as well paratroopers and special troops, who might need a shorter rifle. The shorter 17.9-inch barrels make the rifles quite handy. The lack of a full-length handguard also reduces the weight and simplifies construction. A 6-round mag could be charged with an N-block clip and reloaded rapidly. Now, the biggest problem with this rifle was the round nose projectile. It's a 6.5 by 52mm round, an interesting choice in an age where the standard was .30 caliber and larger. Original military rounds didn't help the rifle's performance in those great wars. However, modern hunting loads exist and have refined the projectile into a more Spitzer-type projectile. This improves ballistics and makes it quite capable for modern hunting. The round can take most North American game with the proper projectile. These rifles are a cheap means to get into the mil-serp market, but the ammo can be somewhat tough to find. Number 1. Hakeem and Rasheed Rifles, $1,000. A favorite of our team, the Egyptian-made Hakeem and Rasheed rifles. The Hakeem is largely based on the Swedish Automatikgewehr M42, while the Rasheed is more or less a copy of the Hakeem, just smaller and chambered in 7.62 by 39mm. The Hakeem sports an 8mm Mauser chambering. Using a direct impingement gas system, a tilting bolt design, and a semi-auto rate of fire, the Hakeem and Rasheed feel very modern despite their age. These are fun rifles to shoot, but the manual of arms is weird. Though the mag is detachable, it was never intended for mag reloads. Instead, the Hakeem and the Rasheed reload via a stripper clip. And only one mag per rifle was issued. That said, the Hakeem and Rasheed are beautifully made. And they are prime examples of a Swedish design, even if they were actually made by Egyptian hands and in Egyptian deserts. That's all for this video, folks. See you another time.